The cultivation world of Qiannan is dotted with numerous sects, like stars scattered across the land, each shining with its own unique brilliance. Among them, the Ancient Sword Sect, the 100 Crafts Academy, and the Falling Cloud Sect, majestically situated in the Yunmeng Mountains, are collectively known as the three sects of Yunmeng Mountain due to their shared location on the sacred mountain and their mutual support. Over the long years, the three sects have maintained a delicate yet stable triangular balance of power, both checking and balancing each other while also joining forces against common enemies. The Falling Cloud Sect, a name that was originally not particularly prominent among the three sects, had its history completely rewritten by the arrival of a legendary cultivator. This person was none other than Han Li, who would later become renowned throughout the mortal realm. The moment he stepped into the Falling Cloud Sect's gates as a nascent soul cultivator, the gears of fate quietly began to turn. This not only altered his personal cultivation trajectory but also propelled a seemingly ordinary sect step by step towards the summit of Yunmeng Mountain, ultimately ascending to the throne of the #1 sect in Qiannan. However, before Han Li's arrival, what was the true strength of the three sects of Yunmeng Mountain? What kind of foundation did their respective nascent soul cultivators possess? Let us part the mists of history and delve into that long-forgotten past. 10th, the rising star of the Ancient Sword Sect, Elder Mingxin. Deep within the Sword Pavilion of the Ancient Sword Sect lived an elder named Mingxin, who had recently condensed his nascent soul. By the standards of the cultivation world, he was a newly promoted nascent soul cultivator. Using Han Li's cultivation time as a reference, when Han Li reached the early nascent soul stage at the age of 217, and then broke through to the middle stage after 35 years, Han Li had a brief encounter with Mingxin at the grand ceremony held at the 100 Crafts Academy. At that time, Mingxin had already been a nascent soul cultivator for 50 or 60 years, and his foundation was already solid. As a sword cultivator, although Mingxin's cultivation was still shallow, the unique and fierce attack methods of sword cultivators ensured that he was never at a disadvantage among cultivators of the same level. The 100 Flowers Spring technique he cultivated was a high-grade wood attribute technique. Even the well-informed Han Li privately marveled at the incredible power contained in this technique, defeating enemies effortlessly and profoundly. However, Mingxin's true exceptional abilities lay not only in his technique and swordsmanship. He possessed extraordinary innate talent and a rare treasure that significantly boosted his cultivation speed, allowing him to far surpass his peers. This was later proven true when Han Li reached the late nascent soul stage. He predicted that Mingxin would break through to the mid-stage in 10 years, while his fellow disciple Liu Yu would need a full century to condense his nascent soul. The difference in talent and opportunity was evident. 9th, Elder Lu Luo, a master of escape techniques from the Luo Yun sect. The Luo Yun sect, Han Li's future sect, had two nascent soul elders at the time. Elder Lu Luo, the second elder, had been at the early nascent soul stage for over a century. While a century isn't a long time on the long path of cultivation, it's enough for a cultivator to stabilize their realm, though further qualitative leaps are difficult. Lu Luo's cultivation technique, the Thousand Waves technique, is a water attribute cultivation method widely circulated in the cultivation world. Its rank is mediocre, merely average. Therefore, in direct combat, Lu Luo often loses more battles than wins against cultivators of the same level. However, everything in the world has two sides. While Lu Luo's offensive methods are ordinary, he possesses several extremely extraordinary life-saving techniques. In the art of escape, he is a master, his escape skills even surpassing those of Cheng Chuanquan, the Grand Elder of the Luo Yun sect. This was fully demonstrated during the siege of the Luo Yun sect by both righteous and demonic factions when the two elders were besieged by powerful enemies. Lu Luo returned to the sect unharmed thanks to his superior escape techniques, while Cheng Chuanquan fought his way back to the sect only after sustaining severe injuries. The difference in their abilities was immediately apparent. 8th place, Elder Cheng Chuanquan, head of the Luo Yun sect. As the Grand Elder of the Luo Yun sect, Cheng Chuanquan's cultivation level is undoubtedly the highest within the sect. In Han Li's opinion, Cheng Chuanquan is indeed slightly superior to Lu Luo. This difference, though subtle, often signifies a difference in cultivation level and strength within the cultivation world. The Luo Yun sect is renowned throughout Qiannan for its alchemy skills, possessing countless pill formulas and producing numerous master alchemists. However, every advantage has its disadvantages. Excessive focus on alchemy results in a mixed and unrefined lineage of cultivation techniques. Although the Luo Yun sect possesses numerous scriptures, it lacks a unique and unparalleled skill. This was particularly evident during their adventure in the Fallen Demon Valley. While Cheng Chuanquan performed adequately, he failed to display any truly impressive techniques. Compared to the Qian Jingzhenren, who had puppets assisting him, or his friend, a nascent soul cultivator with a fire fox spirit beast, he appeared somewhat inferior. Of course, as a nascent soul cultivator in charge of a sect, Cheng Trenquan's experience and combat skills were still considerable. However, in the Yunmeng mountain, where powerful figures gathered, his brilliance was inevitably overshadowed. 6th and 7th, the twin stars of the 100 Crafts Academy elders Feng and Ding. As one of the 3 sects of Yunmeng Mountain, the 100 Crafts Academy was renowned throughout Quannan for its crafting of magical artifacts. Every disciple was proficient in the art of artifact crafting, and their creations often fetched considerable prices. At that time, the 100 Crafts Academy was headed by the fiery old monster and his 2 junior brothers Elder Feng and Elder Ding, both early-stage nascent soul cultivators. When Han Li, in his mid-stage nascent soul state, visited the 100 Crafts Academy to witness the Qingquan Tower's recognition ceremony, Elders Feng and Ding personally greeted Han Li, Cheng Trenquan, and Lu Luo. The 2 elders were strikingly different. One had fiery red hair and skin as black as iron, the other had withered skin and a sinister air about him. A clue could be gleaned from their way of addressing Cheng Trenquan and Lu Luo. They addressed Cheng Trenquan as Brother Cheng, but only as fellow Daoist Lu. This subtle difference between brother and fellow Daoist indicated that Elders Feng and Ding had condensed their nascent souls later than Cheng Trenquan but earlier than Lu Luo. In terms of actual combat strength, Elders Feng and Ding might not be significantly stronger than Cheng Trenquan and Lu Luo. However, the unique cultivation methods of the 100 Crafts Academy, along with their years of experience in weapon crafting, meant they undoubtedly possessed several extraordinary magical treasures. This was evident in their collaboration with the fiery old monster, who forged the Qingquan Tower in just 3 months and gifted it to a disciple who had only reached the core formation stage less than 100 years ago. As elders of a sect, how could they not possess some hidden treasures? 5th, the low-key powerhouse of the ancient sword sect, a middle-aged cultivator. Among the 3 nascent soul elders of the ancient sword sect, besides the newly promoted cultivator Ming Xin, there was also an ordinary-looking middle-aged cultivator. During the ceremony at the 100 Crafts courtyard, he closely followed behind the Grand Elder Jin Wuhuan, flanking Ming Xin on either side, protecting this pillar of the ancient sword sect. Records about this middle-aged cultivator are extremely limited. It is only known that he had an ordinary appearance and a low-key, reserved demeanor. The only memorable detail is that during the sparring match between Jin Wuhuan and Han Li, upon seeing the Grand Elder's defeat, the middle-aged cultivator's face instantly turned extremely ugly. That embarrassment and shock were enough to demonstrate his concern for the sect's honor and his absolute trust in the Grand Elder's strength. From Elder Feng's words at the 100 Crafts courtyard, it can be inferred that this middle-aged cultivator had been at the early nascent soul stage for over 100 years. At that 3-sect exchange meeting, Elder Feng remarked that in just over 100 years, 2 new faces, Han Li and Ming Xin, had appeared. This suggests that this middle-aged cultivator, like Lu Luo, had already reached the nascent soul stage over 100 years ago. His profound cultivation and rich experience far surpassed those of a newcomer like Ming Xin. 4th, the permanent representative of the Heavenly Dao Alliance, a cultivator surnamed Tuen. The ancient sword sect not only possessed formidable strength among the 3 sects but also held an important position within the entire Heavenly Dao Alliance. As one of the 3 major powers in the Quannan cultivation world, the Heavenly Dao Alliance was formed by the union of numerous sects and had an Elders' Council to oversee daily affairs. The seats on this Elders' Council rotate every 10 years, and only the sects that initiated the alliance are qualified to send elders to reside permanently within it and manage major alliance matters. The Ancient Sword sect was one of these special sects. This representative of the ancient sword sect residing in the Heavenly Dao Alliance Elders Council was a cultivator surnamed Tian with an ugly face. Han Li had met him briefly at the Heavenly Dao Alliance Council Hall on the eve of the border war. Being selected by the sect to be permanently stationed at the Heavenly Dao Alliance and shoulder such an important responsibility, this cultivator surnamed Tian must be an outstanding figure in the ancient sword sect, both in terms of cultivation and ability. Although he rarely appeared in public, he secretly represented the face and interests of the ancient sword sect. His importance was self-evident. 3rd, the headmaster of the 100 Crafts Academy, Fiery Old Monster. Fiery Old Monster, this middle-aged cultivator with thick eyebrows, large eyes, and a menacing aura, is the Grand Elder of the 100 Crafts Academy and the true leader of this sect. His cultivation technique, the Heavenly Fire Technique, is a closely guarded secret of the 100 Crafts Academy, its power unparalleled among fire attribute techniques. On the day of the 100 Crafts Academy's ceremony for recognizing the master of the Qingquan Tower, the ancient sword sect's Grand Elder, Jin Wuhuan, jokingly suggested a sparring match with Fiery Old Monster. Faced with the provocation of this mid-nascent soul cultivator, the fiery old monster merely rolled his eyes and refused without hesitation. He bluntly stated that while his heavenly fire technique was powerful, it was ultimately a whole realm below the golden martial ring. This seemingly weak statement precisely revealed the fiery old monster's cultivation level early nascent soul, and still some distance from the mid-nascent soul stage. However, the fact that the 100 Crafts Academy had firmly secured the second position among the 3 sects of Yunmeng Mountain before Han Li's arrival meant that the fiery old monster's strength was not to be underestimated. He was undoubtedly stronger than Cheng Trenquan of the Falling Cloud sect, otherwise how could the 100 Crafts Academy have surpassed the Falling Cloud sect? This was later confirmed when Han Li reached the late nascent soul stage. The fiery old monster had already successfully broken through to the mid-nascent soul stage, demonstrating his solid foundation and profound potential. Second, the mad swordsman of the ancient sword sect, Fire Dragon Child. The name Fire Dragon Child was legendary in Yunmeng Mountain at the time. As an elder of the ancient sword sect, he was not only a pure sword cultivator but also a ruthless character with an astonishingly rich combat experience. Sword cultivators are known for their formidable offensive power, and the Fire Dragon Child's strength was outstanding among sword cultivators of the same level. What was most impressive about the Fire Dragon Child was not merely his cultivation level, but the intense, almost tangible, murderous aura emanating from him. This murderous aura could only be acquired through countless life or death battles and the personal slaying of countless enemies. The Fire Dragon Child himself openly declared that countless mags had died by his sword when the Mulan mags invaded Twennan. This record, this murderous aura, even impressed Han Li upon their first meeting, who remarked that the intensity of his murderous aura far surpassed that of other cultivators of the same level. Similar to the fiery old monster, the Fire Dragon Child had already entered the mid-nascent soul stage when Han Li advanced to the late nascent soul stage. It's conceivable that before Han Li's arrival, this Fire Dragon Child was also at the peak of the early nascent soul stage, poised to break through his bottleneck and enter the mid-stage. His existence was undoubtedly a crucial asset for the ancient sword sect's dominance over the other 3 sects. First place, the number 1 person of Yunmeng Mountain, Jin Wuhuan. Jin Wuhuan, the Grand Elder of the ancient sword sect, is undeniably the number 1 person of Yunmeng Mountain. Before Han Li joined the Falling Cloud sect, he was the only mid-stage nascent soul cultivator among the 3 sects of Yunmeng Mountain, and had already reached the peak of the mid-stage, only 1 step away from becoming a late-stage grand cultivator. As a sword cultivator, Jin Wuhuan has already comprehended and mastered the profound sword technique of transforming swords into threads. This level of swordsmanship has touched upon the essence of swordsmanship, far surpassing that of ordinary sword cultivators. With this cultivation and swordsmanship, Jin Wuhuan is more than capable of crushing ordinary early nascent soul cultivators like Cheng Trenquan and Lu Lu. Even looking at the entire Chennan region, Jin Wuhuan is definitely a top-tier expert. At that time, in the cultivation world of Chennan, there were only 3 true late-stage nascent soul cultivators. Following them were top-tier mid-stage nascent soul cultivators like Tuanhen Old Monster, Longhan, Fengbing, and the female cultivator surnamed by then came veteran mid-stage cultivators such as Nanlong Marquis, Yunlu Old Demon, Jin Wuhuan, and Shattered Soul True Person. Being among them was enough to prove Jin Wuhuan's cultivation and strength. As for Jin Wuhuan's rapid defeat in his battle against Han Li, that was truly not unjustified. It should be noted that Han Li, even in his early nascent soul stage, was able to kill the 4th elder of the Yinluo sect, a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator, and in his mid-stage nascent soul stage, he dared to compete with the late-stage nascent soul ancient demon. Such heaven-defying combat power, let alone Jin Wuhuan, would likely have been fatal for any mid-stage nascent soul cultivator in Tiannan. Jin Wuhuan's defeat was honorable and not shameful. Before Han Li's arrival, the 3 sects of Yunmeng Mountain were all formidable. The ancient sword sect, with Jin Wuhuan, a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator, at its helm, and for early-stage nascent soul experts Fire Dragon Child, a middle-aged cultivator, a cultivator surnamed Tian, and Mingxin assisted them. In terms of both the quantity and quality of nascent soul cultivators, it far surpassed the 100 Crafts Academy and the Falling Cloud sect. While the 100 Crafts Academy boasted 3 early-stage nascent soul cultivaters, the fiery old monster, Elder Feng, and Elder Ding, the Falling Cloud sect owned 1 of the 3 only had Cheng Trenquan and Lu Lu. Given this disparity in strength, barring unforeseen circumstances, the ancient sword sect's dominance over Yunmeng Mountain would likely have remained unchanged for a millennium. However, life is unpredictable, and opportunities are hard to fathom. No one could have foreseen that a cultivator named Han Li would suddenly rise to prominence and choose to join the weakest sect, the Falling Cloud sect. Even less could anyone have predicted that this seemingly ordinary cultivator would single-handedly reverse the entire cultivation landscape of Qiannan. With Han Li's arrival, the Luo Yun sect, leveraging his formidable reputation, attracted countless disciples of exceptional talent, gaining access to immeasurable cultivation resources. In just a few hundred years, the Luo Yun sect produced a plethora of nascent soul cultivators, its power soaring to new heights. Ultimately, it not only surpassed the ancient sword sect and the 100 Crafts Academy but also ascended to the throne of the #1 sect in the southern heaven, ushering in a golden age that lasted for 10,000 years. Mount Yunmeng remained majestic, the sea of clouds still surging. Only the once powerful three-way balance of power atop the mountain had shifted. And all this change stemmed from a cultivator named Han Li, from the moment he chose the Luo Yun sect. Such is the vicissitudes of the cultivation world.